Hello, my name is Jennifer. The anticipation was palpable as I prepared for what I believed would be an extraordinary family vacation with my husband, Kevin, and his relatives. This trip was especially significant as it marked our first journey together since our marriage, and I was eager to partake in a long-standing family tradition. My rapport with my mother-in-law, Donna, had been somewhat cool ever since Kevin and I began living together. I saw this outing as a perfect opportunity to bridge the gap between us and foster a closer bond. As I finished packing, Kevin comforted me with assurances. "Don't worry, Jennifer. Everything is taken care of. My parents always handle the trip costs for everyone." However, on the eve of our departure, Donna called me into the kitchen for a brief conversation. Although her demeanor was relaxed, her message was far from it. "Jennifer, since you're relatively new to the family, I just want to clarify something," Donna began, avoiding eye contact. "You aren't fully part of the family yet, so you will need to cover your expenses for this trip." I was stunned by her words, especially after Kevin's reassurances. "But Kevin said the family expenses were covered," I responded, my confusion evident. Donna nonchalantly replied, "Well, that's for family members, I'm sure you understand. It's only fair considering you're still new." Although her words hurt, I managed to maintain my composure. "I see. Thank you for letting me know, Donna." As soon as she left, I dialed Kevin, my hands trembling slightly. "Kevin, your mom just said I'm not considered family yet and I have to pay for myself. Were you aware of this?" After a brief pause filled with tension, Kevin replied, clearly upset. "What? No, she never mentioned that. That's not right, Jennifer." We needed to discuss this further. Kevin and I realized we couldn't just dismiss the situation. It was about much more than money. It was a matter of fairness and respect. Later that evening, as we lay together, Donna's unsettling words lingered in my thoughts. Feeling the weight of the moment, Kevin held my hand firmly and reassured me, "We'll sort this out, Jennifer. We'll do it together." Unbeknownst to Donna, we were silently crafting a plan, a bold move that would assert our position and make clear that we weren't to be sidelined in what was meant to be a unifying family tradition. The following morning, as we headed to the airport, the atmosphere in the car was charged with tension. Kevin frequently glanced over at me, his expression tense, his eyes darting back and forth from the road to my face. It was evident he was as affected by the situation as I was, if not more. He reached out, squeezed my hand, and firmly stated, "We're not going to let this slide, Jennifer. What Mom said is not okay." I nodded, feeling a tight knot in my stomach. "It seems like she did this on purpose, telling me at the last minute." "Yeah," Kevin sighed deeply, the strain audible in his voice. "It's harsh timing." After a thoughtful pause, he continued, "Listen, I have an idea." My curiosity was piqued despite the heavy feeling in my chest. "What if we just go somewhere else? Just the two of us?" he proposed, the strain in his voice giving way to a hint of excitement. "We can still head to the airport but catch a different flight." His suggestion initially took me by surprise, but then a wave of excitement washed over me. Was he seriously proposing that we skip the family trip to embark on our adventure? "Exactly," Kevin affirmed, his eyes brightening for the first time in days. "Let's book a flight to San Jose. We've always talked about visiting there." The idea of escaping together suddenly seemed like the perfect response to the situation, turning a moment of exclusion into an opportunity for an unexpected adventure just for the two of us. The idea of escaping to San Jose felt daring and utterly perfect. It wasn't merely about dodging a family vacation. It was about us reclaiming our independence as a couple and creating our cherished memories. "Let's do it, Kevin. Let's take back the joy of our honeymoon phase that she tried to overshadow," I said with renewed spirit. Kevin immediately pulled out his phone and started searching for flights while I continued driving. We discovered a flight to San Jose that was scheduled to leave just around the same time as the family's flight to Florida. Within moments, our covert escape was secured with a few quick taps. "We'll still head to the airport with everyone," Kevin plotted with a hint of mischief in his voice, as if piecing together a clever riddle. We'll check in together, but then we can say we're going off to grab a coffee or something when it's time to split for the gates." I nodded, the plan crystallizing in my mind. "And then? We simply don't show up at their gate. We head to ours instead." "Exactly. And once we're on the plane, I'll text Mom. I'll tell her that since you're not considered family, we decided to do our own thing," Kevin added, his tone firm and resolved. It was a straightforward yet bold statement, an empowering decision. That night, as we packed our bags, the sting of Donna's words still lingered, but the excitement of our impending adventure was far more potent. We were genuinely doing this. The next morning at the airport, amidst the usual pre-flight hustle, Donna busily distributed boarding passes and outlined the family's Florida itinerary, completely oblivious to our plan. The family buzzed with excitement about the beaches and activities awaiting in Florida, while Kevin and I shared knowing looks. As we approached the security line, Kevin leaned closer and whispered, "Ready for this?" My response was confident, more than ever. My voice surprised me with its strength. We were on the brink of a new chapter, one where we weren't merely adhering to someone else's rules or expectations. This time, we were forging our path on our terms. As we entered the bustling airport, the atmosphere was electric with the sound of families and solo travelers alike, all swirling in a rush of departure excitement. Rolling our suitcases through the sliding doors of the departure hall, I was enveloped by the symphony of announcements and the palpable buzz of adventurers set to embark on their journeys. Amidst this chaos, a sense of serenity settled over me. We were about to take a step just for us, and my heart fluttered with a cocktail of nerves and thrill with each step we took towards our bold decision. Kevin and I stayed close to his family, perfectly blending into their familiar pre-flight rituals and lively discussions about their upcoming Florida vacation. Donna, completely engrossed in her vacation leader role, was busy distributing itineraries and issuing last-minute directives, completely unaware of the silent rebellion simmering just beneath the surface. "Everyone, remember we're meeting at Gate 26. Donna's voice rose above the din, filled with authority. We mechanically nodded and replied, keeping up appearances while mentally preparing for our clandestine escape. Our plan was straightforward yet daring. As we approached the security checkpoint, Kevin leaned in close and whispered, "Ready for the coffee trick?" My stomach knotted with anticipation, but I nodded resolutely. "Let's do it." Once through security, the family continued directly toward Gate 26. But at the crucial moment, Kevin gently pulled at my arm, directing us towards a nearby coffee shop instead. It was our moment to divert, stepping off the expected path onto one that we had chosen for ourselves. "We're just grabbing a quick coffee," Kevin announced nonchalantly to the group as we veered towards the coffee shop. Donna, preoccupied with rallying everyone at the gate, barely glanced our way. Once inside the coffee shop, we lingered only long enough to ensure the family was out of view. Then, with a mix of stealth and excitement, we quietly slipped out the back, making our way toward a different part of the terminal. My heart raced as we darted glances around, ensuring no familiar faces were in sight. It felt like a scene from a spy film, with us tiptoeing around, carrying out our secret mission. When we arrived at our gate, a wave of relief washed over us. The departure screen displayed our flight to San Jose, allowing us to finally relax a bit. Kevin took out his phone, paused for a moment to gather his thoughts, and then composed the decisive text. "Mom, since Jennifer isn't considered family yet, we decided it's best to do our own thing this time. We're heading to San Jose instead, and we'll spend the week there. We need to do what's best for us right now. I hope you understand." With a deep breath, he sent the message. As soon as the message was sent, marking the start of a new chapter, we turned off our phones, choosing to disconnect from any potential replies for the time being. The immediate sense of relief was palpable, yet a layer of tension lingered, knowing we'd eventually have to face the consequences of our decision. Boarding the plane, it felt as though we were stepping into an entirely new realm, a place where we could freely breathe, unburdened by the weight of expectations and previous disappointments. This was our moment to start afresh, on our terms, in a space just for us. As our plane ascended, it felt as though we were shedding the heaviness of the past few days. A chapter of our lives was receding into the background, giving way to the promise of new adventures on the horizon. Meanwhile, back with the family, the reaction to our departure was explosive. When Kevin eventually switched his phone back on, it erupted with a relentless stream of messages, confusion, outrage, and disbelief. Texts from Donna and other relatives filled the screen, each conveying shock and accusations. Donna's messages were particularly biting, infused with blame. "How could you embarrass me like this? This is irresponsible and utterly selfish." Her words were harsh, but as San Jose unfolded below us, draped in the golden hues of the setting sun and the reflections from the ocean, the family's uproar seemed remote. We were embarking on an adventure of our choosing, despite the storm we left behind. Ahead of us lay a path filled with our own choices and dreams. This escape was not merely from an airport or a family gathering, it was a stride towards our moments of freedom. San Jose welcomed us with its iconic fog and vibrant streets. We found joy as we meandered through Fisherman's Wharf, laughing over clam chowder and sourdough bread, and snapping photos beneath the majestic Golden Gate Bridge. For the first time in a long while, it felt like we had truly broken free. We were liberated to explore and delight in each other's company without the dark cloud of Donna's disapproval. During those days, our spirits soared as high as San Jose's famous hills. However, even as we immersed ourselves in the city's beauty, Kevin's phone continued to buzz, a constant reminder of the tempest we had left behind. He kept the details to himself, trying to shield me from the worst of the backlash, but I could see the tension in his eyes. The reality of our situation was heavy and unavoidable, and it awaited our return. When we arrived home, the presence of Donna's car outside our house was like a dark cloud looming over what we had hoped would be a peaceful re-entry. Kevin squeezed my hand in silent solidarity, bracing for what was to come. We hadn't even set down our luggage before confronting the aftermath of our bold decision. When Donna burst through the front door, her face was contorted with rage and hurt. "How could you two be so selfish to just run off like that?" she snapped, her voice cutting sharply through the peace we had momentarily cherished. "Mom, we needed to do what was best for us. We felt excluded and unwelcome," Kevin replied, his voice steady yet defensive. "That's no excuse to humiliate me in front of the entire family," Donna retorted, her hands shaking with anger. The argument quickly intensified. I attempted to intervene, hoping to defuse the situation. "Donna, we didn't mean to upset you, but don't you dare butt in, young lady," she interrupted furiously, her eyes blazing with fury. "You're the reason my son is turning against me." In a sudden burst of anger, Donna lunged forward and slapped me. The sting of the slap was more than physical. It was a painful manifestation of the toxic relationship we had been trying to leave behind. Kevin immediately stepped in, his expression one of sheer outrage. "That's enough, Mom. You can't just come here and attack Jennifer like that." The situation quickly spiraled out of control as Donna continued to hurl accusations, her voice growing louder with each insult. Left with no other choice, Kevin called the police. By the time they arrived, the atmosphere was heavy with tension and unspoken bitterness. After explaining the situation and showing the officers the red mark on my cheek, we pressed charges. Donna was taken away, still spewing anger and resentment. Once the officers left, the house fell into a deep, heavy silence. Kevin and I sat down, the adrenaline fading, leaving behind profound exhaustion and a lingering sadness. We had momentarily escaped, but reality had relentlessly followed us home. We were no longer the same people who had nervously hatched a plan in an airport coffee shop. The weight of our choices and their consequences had transformed us, marking a poignant and indelible shift in our lives. Through everything we had endured, Kevin and I found strength in unity, bound together by our shared experiences and a collective vision for the future. Reflecting on our journey, I realized it wasn't just about escaping Donna's harmful presence. It was about seizing our right to define our family narrative, one anchored in love and mutual respect, values that were essential to us. This chapter of our life wasn't merely about leaving the past behind. It was a deliberate stride towards a future we had consciously chosen, a life where each new day affirmed our resilience and our determination to accept nothing less than what we deserved. As the moving day drew near, I looked around at the boxes that filled our home, each one a symbol of our readiness for a new beginning. This wasn't the end of our story. Rather, it was the start of a new, hopeful chapter filled with peace and the exciting prospect of building something beautiful on our terms. As we closed the door on our old life, we stepped confidently into our future, eager to craft our narrative. And with that, I wrapped up our story. Now, I'd like to pose a question to you. Do you think it's justifiable to cut ties with family members if they continually disrespect your boundaries? I'm eager to hear your thoughts and experiences.